I got a 46-year-old stepfather. And one would say that's really young. He's vibrant. He could still hoop if he wants to. But for some odd reason, my stepfather is obsessed. And when I tell you obsessed, I mean infatuated with his past. He's the uncle at the barbecue that'd be like, y'all youngins don't get no chicks. I used to have them lined up. Had Shorty in the classroom going crazy on me. Like he one of them. He one of them uncles that he gonna tell you about all the joints he had back in his heyday, right? And it's funny. It's funny as hell. But on the low, it's kind of like, dang, bro, you're not supposed to be like that, you know? And what I mean is, he looks at his past as though those were the golden ages. That's when he was at his best. And those times have come and gone. And he's grateful for where he is right now. But back then, yo, mm, 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 mm. And that's unhealthy, bro. Like, it's unhealthy as fuck because when we place our past on a pedestal the way that he does, it glorifies it. And when we glorify our past, or even the future for that matter, when we glorify either one of them, we're giving it the spotlight. And you know how spotlights work. It's a spotlight, which means that we're not putting a spotlight on where we are currently because we're putting it in our past or in our future. And the past and the future have different purposes. And we'll talk about the past first. The purpose of the past is for us to learn, right? The past is supposed to be like, okay, I can identify the decisions that I made, the choices that I made, the mistakes that I made, right? And then I can bring that knowledge to the present moment to be a more improved version of myself. That's the purpose of the past. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, as far as the future goes, on the other hand, the future is all about our aspirations. This is where we're expecting or intending to go, right? So the purpose of the future is to give us that heightened sense of expectation. We want to feel real good, like, bruh, I'm finna touch $1 million by motherfucking September. It's gonna be in a checking account. Like that bread is gonna be, you know what I'm saying? Like that's the aspiration, and it kind of gives you something to look towards. You could look toward getting the bag. And the present is supposed to be your golden ages. It's no time like right now because guess what? The past me can't do what I'm doing right now because that nigga in the past, right? You didn't have people come and go in your life. Those people are where? They're not here right now. So they don't really serve much of a purpose beyond learning experiences, lessons. I find that I find that it's convenient to put the past on a pedestal when we're not happy with our present moment. We tend to look back to the good old times. And when we look back to the good old times, we never look back to when things weren't going well back then. We look back to the highlights of it. It's kind of like social media. We treat the past the way people treat social media. Every time you open up your Instagram feed, tell me I'm lying, you see somebody that look like they really get into the bag, right? They get into this money. They driving in the nice whips. They got the nice clothes, or they're just always going on a trip. And it's like, how is this even happening, right? They're showing you the highlights of their life. And they might not even be on that trip. That might have been a trip from last year, but they flexing it like it's today. Why? Because they can do that. It's their Instagram. But when we're looking at our past, we have to look at the entire picture, right? And I can give a quick story on this one. Back in the pandemic, I had my own crib where it was just me. I'm co-parenting, so I had my son sometimes. And I wasn't cuffed, so I had joints, right? Smoke weed whenever I want to, throw parties, whatever I want to. So nowadays, when I'm having low moments, I think back to the golden ages during the pandemic when we was all wilding out, acting crazy, and I had my own spot and I could just do exactly whatever the fuck I wanted to do whenever I wanted to do it, right? But I don't really be thinking about the fact I was miserable, I hated my job, I wasn't doing what I wanted with my life. I felt stifled. I felt like opportunities weren't coming to me. No matter how hard I pushed, they weren't coming to me. It seemed like it was a lot of resistance. You know, I don't really think back to that shit. I don't think back to it. I don't think about the fact that I'm living in Baltimore, Maryland, the inner city, and I hear gunshots outside of my window every day. So I really didn't feel safe living where I lived at. I thought someone was gonna break into my Nissan Altima every day. Yeah, like these are things that I don't really think about, but I do think about the TV that was mounted on the wall and the unlimited amounts of joints I could have pull up to the crib, especially when I be mad as fuck that I can't cook up music or I got 3 kids in this crib running up and down the hallway, so I need some privacy or I got to be on 24/7 because if I'm not my best self, then how are they going to be their best self? So naturally, you go back to what you know. When your present moment gets tough, you go back to like the golden ages. And the reason people do that is because we're not conditioned to think forward, right? We're not conditioned to think about the future because we don't know what the fuck the future holds. Like we hope that the future holds, more space so I could just say, get the fuck out my face to these kids. That's what we're aspiring toward. That's what we're intending towards, right? But we haven't experienced it yet. Well, I'm here to give you a news flash. You need to let go of the past because the past is only supposed to teach you based on experiences, right? Other than that, forget the past. We need to use the future as a guide for us because our brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. The brain is like a hammer. It's just a fucking tool. And we got to learn how to use this tool to our advantage. Let me explain. If I close my eyes and I imagine just grabbing a stack of money off of the table and I'm holding, it's $20,000. I can feel it in my hand. I can like touch the $100 bills on top. I can feel it. I could feel the little blue strip in 100. You know what I'm saying? I can feel it. And my brain just went through that. And oh my God, it felt just like it happened, right? That's because to the brain, it did happen. So what we need to do is we need to bring ourselves to where we're aspiring to be and familiarize ourselves with it. We don't want to go backwards and familiarize ourselves with that back there because when we do, we dig a hole for ourselves. Every time we do it, the hole gets deeper and deeper and deeper. Eventually, it's going to be impossible to get out of that hole, right? Because when we dig that hole, we can't even see the future that we're aspiring to over there. We can't see it because we're 6 feet deep in this ditch of our own bullshit, right? So what I do and what I have done, and it's helped me a lot, is I set a timer every single hour, every day. There's an alarm that goes off on my phone and it reminds me to visualize. And I don't visualize about anything in particular, but I just take my mind to the future. And maybe it could just be tomorrow. Maybe it's a year from now. Maybe it's 6 months from now. But I go to the future and I visualize and I materialize in my mind to just remind myself that I'm always on my way somewhere, right? Because when you got somewhere to be, you got some urgency. And you also know that there's more steps to be taken. You don't feel held back by your past or by circumstances because you're on your way somewhere. And you know what? Even though shit is really, really tough right now, I'm still on my way there. I might not be able to like hop on the plane right now, but I can do it in my head. And I can sit in the plane seat and I can touch the little armrest and feel cooped up and uncomfortable and shit. You feel me? So use your brain like it's a tool and stop going to the past so much, bro, because the past is not where you want to be. You actually want to be in the future, so you may as well condition your brain to visit the future very frequently, but then come back to your present moment and enjoy and practice gratitude because at the end of the day, we are not God or whatever you believe in. Our life can be taken away in the blink of an eye. And if that does happen to us, the only thing that we have is what we have in this present moment. So use the tool of the mind to forecast and touch everything that you want, but then bring your tail right back to the present moment and be grateful. Be grateful for where you are. Understand where you're going. And one last thing. We talk about gratitude often, right? when we're practicing gratitude, the best way to do it, the most effective way to actually be grateful for what you have now is to juxtapose it to something. So I could say, all right, I'm sitting in this room right now. This room is decent size, right? I'm really grateful for this room, this studio space that I have, because back in 2020, when I had my apartment and it was only me, my whole crib was like the size of this room. It was tiny as fuck. So I ain't really have space to like spread my wings and shit. You know what I'm saying? Gratitude happens best when you can compare it to something lesser, right? Or a worst case scenario. So don't just acknowledge what you have. Acknowledging what you have is cool, right? It's kind of like wishing. It's like wishing but not having a plan. It's pretty silly. So when you practice gratitude, look at what you have as opposed to what you did have, or as opposed to what it could be. You always want to juxtapose. You always want to juxtapose whenever you're practicing gratitude. So that's what it is, man. Make sure that you are staying out of the past, let it go, and it's okay if you forget the past. You're going to remember the parts of the past that you need to remember, hopefully. And if you don't, then you fucking suck, gang. Click the links in the bio, tap in with your boy, join the community, book a one-on-one call with me, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to see you in the next one.